the Canadian government, then to the United States, saying that we were going to have a new North and South Pole. And that, like clockwork, every 3 years, these solar flares now were coming in, and they were intensifying each time. And he predicted there would be another explosion in 1984, and very soon there would be an experience of pole shift. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting. On October 7th, 1972, from our observation, we didn't know the course the Sirians had intervened, but it was the biggest thing that we had ever seen. So this was the Sirians. This is the solar flare. This is the energy that through the galaxies and through intent, this is how we've been getting this extra energy boost, especially for us starseeds here that are activating our templates. And now, since we've completely connected the OA and our plasma is connected and we're in the collective consciousness, which is what we started, that is the Christ consciousness grid, and it's actually been here since 1980, but we had to be conscious, okay, to connect to it. So it was the biggest thing that ever happened, okay, and this comes from Anthony R. Curtis in the Space Almanac. He called it the most intense solar storm ever recorded. According to Science News, the early days of August saw a severe disturbance on the sun that produced 4 major flares between August 2nd and August 7th. The ones recorded in early August were among the most major ever recorded. The August 7th flare ran the X-ray sensors off the scale. The solar wind, which has an average velocity of 500 kilometers per second or 1 million miles per hour, so the Earth normally spins, but the solar wind was 1 million miles per hour normally, okay? The August 7th flare, it got up to 2.5 million miles an hour, okay? So it went from 1 million, the solar flare came in, sped up to 2.5 million, and this is where the numerology gets interesting, for 3 days, and then drops down to 1.5 million miles an hour for exactly 30 days, and it was considered impossible, and then it just dropped back down to normal, okay? Accounts of the event were published in all the major scientific literature of the world and many of the major newspapers, but scientists didn't know what it meant. All they did was publish the data. And after 6 months, Suzuki called a worldwide scientific meeting to discuss the implications of the explosion. John Bali left him about 3 months before. He doesn't know what happened at the gathering. What he does know, in the previous meeting, that is, from August to November 1972, there was a great amount of information published and written about this. But after the meeting in June or July of 1973, there was a total worldwide blackout, just as if the great event had never happened. So
that would mean something's not jiving. Then here on solarstorms.org, they have August 2nd, 1972. They talk about the Earth being hit with solar flares. Yes, they occurred on August 2nd, on August 4th, but the mother of all solar flares occurred at about 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on August 7th. Nowhere up here does it say that. I know because I was awake. I remembered it. That's the one thing I remember. And this is a little video. It's a solar flare versus AT&T. The major solar flare that erupted on August 4th, 1972, knocked out long-distance phone communication across some states, including Illinois, according to NASA account. That event, in fact, caused AT&T to redesign its power system for transatlantic cables. Where in the history of the planet occurred. This is an abstract of some unusual features of the cosmic ray storm in August of 1972. Now you got to realize, I'm the only one that knows this. On August 6, 1972, all life on planet was put to sleep, and they were not woken up until August 13th, 1972. All this is documented. But if you notice, every time it's talked about this large solar flare, the date, the time, it keeps changing. You're looking at August 4th to August 7th. They're giving all different types, what time it happened, what day it happened, 6:30 UT, 8 hours after. All right. Here's another abstract. They're given the 1500. This is the common one, and then just keeps changing all the time. They're saying a giant shock wave from this hit the Earth. Let's hit the PDF real fast. And then the major events during the 2nd to the 8th of August. Well, I know for a fact that it happened on August 7th because I remember August 6th being told that the whole planet was being put to sleep. On August 7th, after the event happened, Eastern Standard Time around 3 o'clock in the morning, I went to sleep. I woke up the following day. I observed all the light, the casting of the shadows. The telephone pole that was in front of my house had different lengths of shadows. From what I understand, you got to realize, everyone thinks of the Earth as having a North Pole and a South Pole. It does not. It's a giant crystal. It has a South Pole with 3 other poles, and then a North Pole with 3 other poles, and it shoots down like this. It creates an 8-sided magnet. That is what the Earth is. It's an 8-sided magnet. Ooh, you know what I could use? Alright, let's shoot down, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. Well, the August 2nd, 1972, the Space Age Storm. What is it? They classified as an X2, the solar flare X-ray power, and here they're giving it a flare at 11:24 UT. So if you notice, time's very convoluted right here. And it was a ghost town. But I was allowed to wake up my friends, and we played football till 11 o'clock at night. So I have witnesses. Abstract. The intense solar flare of August 7th, 1972. There's that 15 universal. Different times, all saying the same thing. Something big, bigger than it's ever happened. Remember, when Noah lived, he said, God, what's going to happen? I will never wipe you out by a flood. Next time it'll be by... Alright, here another one. 1519 Universal Time, August 7th, 1972. Continuum emission brighter than ever before photographed. Something happened. Everybody knows it. This was the biggest thing that ever happened in the history of the planet. Look at that. Alright, next. The sun's wrath. Worst solar storms in history. At space.com, 1972, solar flare versus AT&T. Here they're saying it's the major solar flare that...
This rare footage of a meteorite in flight was taken quite by chance in Alberta in 1972. We'll show it to you twice since it's quite short. The meteorite only broke up a little and seemed to have skipped through the atmosphere and returned to space, which was probably just as well, since it was calculated to be about 150 feet across and would have caused quite some damage if it had come to Earth. Most meteorites, however, break up when they reach the Earth's atmosphere, like this one, which broke into 35 fragments.
There's been a lot of controversy about the daylight fireball of
3.6 miles from the camera, knowing that object was about 125 miles away, one can determine that its actual diameter, based on what you see in the photograph of its size compared to the size of the mountain of Mount Moran, the diameter would have been about 2 miles. Now, to have wiped out all life on Earth, half of all life on Earth, including the dinosaurs, 65 million years ago, was 10 miles in diameter, they figure, landed in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Nu ska du bli stilla, nu ska du försöka glömma dina sorger och tro du mig, allting är all right, ja, allting är bra.
To life, the stars of Jesus Christ Superstar back together for the first time.
1972 Camaro Z28, and just want to tell you a little bit about the engine before I take it for a drive. It's a 383 stroker. It's got about a $8,000 engine build.
Sensitive to vibration, noise, and motion. Compare this all-new 73 Mercury Marquis to a $31,000 European town car.
'72 Mercury Montego.
Hey everybody, it's Devin with Smoky Mountain Traders. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be taking a close look at this 1972 Chevy Chevelle. Now if you've got any questions on it, you can give us a call at 865-988-8088.